Hi, Cindy Crane here from Miniature Luxuries and Papers. I'm glad you could join me today. I've got two projects I've prepared for you, and I think you're going to like them. There's a lot of techniques and new products for you to try, and it's a project you can finish easily in an afternoon. The first one is a lighted wreath. Now for this project, I'm showing you some of the products that we're going to be using. We're going to use the Antarctic paper, and then some new products. We're going to glamour paste, Arctic ice, Arctic flakes, the mixed media glue, the stencils, and the molds. Our next project is a decorated mug. Now, I've gotten the mug from the Dollar Tree, so something we can all get easily. And we're going to be using, again, some molds, soft clay, some of the glamour finishes. And this will make a great gift, or as I've used it, as a holiday decoration. It's easy to do, and again, we can do this in an afternoon, and it would make a great gift. And here's some of the products that we're going to be using. The vintage paste, mixed media glue, the crackle paste, one of the impression molds that you'll be using with the soft clay, aqua color, glamour gel and the Prima wax, some of the die cuts, and the rice paper. Okay, the first thing we're going to start with is the flexible mold. And for this, you're going to use the soft clay, now all you have to do is push it into the mold. You push it in firmly to make sure you get a good impression, and then just smooth out the edges. So make sure you fill it completely, and you don't have to work with the clay to begin with. Just take it out of the package and push it into the mold. And then make sure you do smooth the edges so you get a nice clean impression. The nice thing about this is that you can unmold it right away, and then you can set it aside to dry. And you can see they just pop right out of the mold. Okay, next for the base, I just used a cardboard cake plate, and then took one of the 8x8 papers, and I chose the scene with the mountains so that they'll look nice with the penguins when we set them in. So just trace around a circle and cut it out. Okay, then take your mixed media glue and your cake plate base, and then with a large brush, just make a nice coat on the plate. It doesn't have to be too thick, but just make sure that it stays damp. And then on the back side of your paper, put a coat. And then press down firmly. I like to use a burnisher to make sure that I get all the edges attached. And then just set aside to dry. Next, I've selected another page from the 8x8 pad, And I'm just going to fussy cut around the wolf because I want that one in the foreground. So just trim it out. And then to make sure it fits nicely on the circle, just turn it over, trace it out, and cut it. Now for the heavy body paste. I want to create a snowy texture, so I'm using the heavy body paste in a palette knife, and then I'm just going to spread it around in the foreground. And also the penguins are going to be sitting on this little mound of snow. And you can use a dryer to dry it. This will kind of speed up the process for you. Now, while that's drying, we're going to work on the penguins, since they should be pretty much dry. So I'm just going to use some acrylic paint. And I like to take the painting in steps. Do a light coat, get it kind of shaped in. And then you can always set that aside to dry. And we'll go back at this a few times just to kind of fine-tune everything. A little bit of white paint for the bellies. And set them aside. Okay, now we're going to just make sure the wolf is positioned correctly. Put some 3D foam on the back. Okay, next we're going to add a little dimension in the background. I'm going to use the stencil, and it's cracked glass. And I'm going to use the Glamour Paste Silver. This is a nice dimensional product. So all you have to do is put your stencil in place, and again with the palette knife, just smooth in the areas that you'd like. You can fill as much or as little as you want. Do a little bit at the bottom as well. And that too you can dry with the hairdryer or heat gun. Okay, back to fine-tuning the penguins. I like to do it in different stages because then you're not working with wet paint. So once it's fully dry, you can go back and add more detail, and also then add your second coat. And there's no need to prime this with the air dry clay. You can paint right over it. So just keep working until you're happy with the way it looks. Just adding a little more color to match the picture that was in the paper pad. It had a little yellow in the neck. And just feel free to finish it however you like. Now we're ready to attach the penguins. Yeah, once they're fully dry, use the 𝐂𝐭 gel. You can just put a nice amount on the back. And just put it into place, and then position all 3 of the penguins. Now we're going to take some Arctic ice. You've already got the snow, but the Arctic ice is got a slight shimmer to it. So I thought I would put some over the top to make like a little icy effect over the top of our snow. And now you can attach the wolf. A little more ice. And then we'll go back to the heavy body paste and add the snow around the wolf. just keep working it, add more ice. And now we're going to try little Arctic flakes. They're little, actually pieces of glass, and they make a nice shimmer. You can just set those into the clay. Now for the penguins, I'm going to use a little gloss finish on it, just to give a little sheen to the wings. Now to add some shadow, I just took a watercolor pencil and I drew some lines around the penguins, took my wet brush, and just start making some shadows in the back. Make sure you make the shadows around the wolf as well. I also wanted to add an igloo in the background, so I just took one of the other sheets, did a little fussy cutting, and I'm going to place that in the background for a little more dimension. 3D foam, and set it into place. From one of these Stamperia wood frames, I took the little label and I attached it to the top. Arctic World. Now I think I'd like to add a little spatter, a little snow into the scene. So just take a fan brush and a little bit of paint. You can accent anywhere you'd like. Now the heavy body paste, add some snow to the top of your tag. And you can easily clean it off with a brush. Kind of neaten it up. Okay, now I'm going to take some navy blue, and I'd like to just darken the edges. So you can just go all the way around the edge. And then I took a little bit of white, mixed that in, make a little lighter blue, and kind of softened it up. But it still gives definition. Now with the same blue, we're going to add a little more shadow. So just take a liner brush, and you see how that wolf just pops right out. Okay, next we're going to take some glass paste. Now this is a really nice product, and what I'm going to do is just add it to the background and a little bit on the water, because that's just going to give it like a glazed look. And it won't have any color in it like the other Arctic ice does. So you see, you just get a little bit of a shine. Okay, now we're going to work on the backer. I got a piece of styrofoam that was about 1/2 inch thick to use as the background, because I'm going to be attaching some greenery, and I just wanted to be able to use the picks in order to attach it, and it's going to go much easier into the styrofoam. So from a 12 by 12, I just picked another piece to use as the backer, traced around, and cut it out. Now I'll just attach that to the styrofoam. For that, I'm using the 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐞. This product is really great because it works on all surfaces, and it's not going to buckle up the paper. So just apply a fair amount. And again, you want to burnish it down. Make sure it sticks. Now I'm going to take some Distress Oxide and a brush and just finish off the edges. So just go around the whole circle. And then we're ready to attach. Use the 𝐂𝐭 glue. And I just kind of move it around and it'll stick almost immediately. Okay, now for the finishing touches. I went through my stash and I actually, anything you can get from Michael's, just little garlands. Choose the colors you like. I stuck with the silver because I like the snowy effect. And then just go around your styrofoam with the pins and start arranging. I use several different types of greenery, even though they're silver. And I just found some nice snowy pieces. So just be creative. And just work it until you're happy. And then once you get all your greenery in place, the last thing I did is I took a string of fairy lights and then I just wove them in and out. And now you have a finished wreath. You can see I added a few flowers. And now you have a great snowy effect. Okay, now for our next project, we're going to take a piece of rice paper and our mug from the Dollar Tree and just try to decide which sections you're going to be using and just start tearing. This is the easiest way to use the rice paper. Just tear out what you need. And then take your mixed media glue, brush it on the mug, and apply your paper. Make sure you put a good coat on top. Just smooth it out, work from the inside out. And then go on to your next piece. And more glue. And then repeat the process. Now once you have it done, you can use a heat gun or a hair dryer to dry it. That kind of speeds up the process. Now I'm going to take a strip from the bottom of the sheet and decorate the handle. So just do the same thing. Mix media glue and attach. This one you may have to work just a little bit harder because it is going around a curve. So just be patient, add more glue, and then just work it into place. Okay, next we're going to take the gold crackle paste. And this is a wonderful product because it's a one-step crackle. So all you have to do is take your palette knife, and now we're going to fill in between the rice paper. Now, the thicker the paste, the bigger the cracks. Just make sure you get it covered, cover up all the white areas, and work your way around the mug. And this way you're going to cover up any edges of the paper that you had. So you can go into the paper, any part of the decoration that you want. You will lose some of the image, but just keep working around the mug. Now you can let it air dry, or just go ahead and use the heat gun. That'll speed up the process. It's not going to affect it at all. So just keep working it until it's good and dry. And once it's dry, then we go on to the next step. You're going to take the vintage paste. Now you can squeeze just a little at a time. You can apply it with a brush or a rag and just rub over the entire surface, including the rice paper. This is going to give you a great aged look, and one of the easiest that I've ever seen. So rub it in thoroughly, and if you need to, just get some more paste. And just keep working it in. Okay, once you have that done, then just take a baby wipe and start rubbing over it. This will take it off the surface, and you can take off as much as you like, but it's going to leave the paste in between the cracks, and this is going to give you that nice aged look that you want. So just keep working it until you're satisfied. And if you take off too much, you can put some more paste back on. So there's no problem. This is an easy process. Okay, now when that's finished, I took some of the Prima wax because I want to do the top edge of the mug and also around the handle. So I'm just taking a little sponge and working it around. It may take a few coats, but it's permanent once it's on, so that's a nice thing about this product. And actually for the inside of the mug, I ended up taking a little bit of a brush to get into the tight corners. So just keep working it around. You can add it to any part of the mug that you need. Now for the soft clay. Okay, next we're going to take some of the soft clay, but use the mixed media glue. Put a coat where you want the clay, and press your clay in place. And then take your impression mold and push down firmly. So make a nice impression. So work your way around the clay. And when you lift off, you have a beautiful impression. And then just repeat on the other side wherever you want the clay to be. More mixed media glue, the clay, and push into place. And then use whatever part of the mold you like. Push firmly. And there you have it. You smooth out the edges. And you can dry it with your heat gun or hair dryer. Okay, next we're going to take the aqua color. Now you can spray this or paint it on. But for this application, I'm going to paint it on. So just pour a little in a dish and start painting over the dry clay. Now this is a water base, and it will dry just a little bit lighter than what you're painting. But make sure you get into all the crevices because this is going to create the depth that you want. So just keep adding it until you have everything covered. And if you get any drips, just take a little rag and you can wipe that right off. You can dry this also with your hair dryer or heat gun. Okay, now for the glamour gel. This is going to give highlights to the clay impression. And you can see you can just brush it on, hit the high spots, and this is where you really see the effect of the aqua color behind, because it just gives you added depth. So you can brush on as much as you like. Go into the mug if you want to. And it's got a little bit of a shimmer to it, so it's really a very pretty finish. Okay, you'll want to continue adding the gel until you're happy with it. And then when you're finished, you can either fill it with flowers or give it as a gift with some candies in it. And here you are with the finished product with a little bow, and you're all set to go. I want to thank you so much for joining me today and wish you happy holidays and a wonderful 2021. Thanks again. Bye.